We got a couple of cool tech choices out of this weekend's YCS. Make sure you guys smash the like crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. Now, you guys wanted to see Mischief of the Gnomes, right? You wanted some really, really fun interactions out here. Well, why play this over Dimensional Barrier, you ask? I actually been asking myself that exact same question as to why Mischief of the Gnomes actually matters. So it is a normal trap card, so you can still thrust on into this and do all of those little fun interactions, because we've seen that thrust has been literally everywhere. But this turn, all right, reduce the level of all monsters in each player's hand by 1, even after they are summoned or set. Okay, so sure. And then you can banish this card from your graveyard. Reduce the levels of all monsters in each player's hands by 1, even after they are summoned or set. Okay, so you have 2 stages of interactions with this. So unlike Dimensional Barrier, who only lasts 1 turn, and by activating Dimensional Barrier, you also jam yourself out of your own interactions of being able to Dreadnader and things like that. I can actually use this card during my opponent's turn, force a level down, and then during my opponent's next turn, I can actually use the Banish from the Graveyard effect to actually do it again. We're getting 2 turns of interactions of doing the level modification effect to punish the opponent. And I honestly think that's why people are choosing to play this over the Dimensional Barrier, at least somewhat. Now, I do think the Dimensional Barrier was the better call, being able to cover your bases and, you know, stop synchros and all those little fun things. Obviously, times have changed post-ban list, and you might not necessarily get that free advantage that you were kind of looking for before. But I think the Mischief of the Gnomes checks those really fun marks out here for things that are just going to kind of entertain you. And I've already seen Mischief of the Gnomes kind of going up in price, but this is one of those cards that you're just going to be like, oh, okay, sure, GG next. You really got me there, Duelist. It's one of those interactions you're just like, oh, okay. Forbidden Chalice. We live in a time out here where Forbidden Chalice has returned back to the meta as a specific stop card to the big Rizal monster. Now, for those of you that didn't play during Zoo format, this was a similar interaction that we had during that time, where people would use Chalice as a point to stop Drident from being able to pop cards. And in that very same era, because Chalice became so popular, you saw people start to counter the Chalice with actually, you're going to laugh at this, but you had Forbidden Lance actually showing up when your opponent would try to challenge your monster. Now, 5 years of time has actually passed since that point, and while Forbidden Chalice is a very cool card to stop the immediate, BS that this card has, let's be honest here. You're not going to side in Lances to counter this. You're just going to let your opponent go, okay, nice Chalice, because your opponent also has the chance to imperm this thing as well. Your opponent has 6 possible negates to actually handle your monster. Now, the deck that actually played Chalice was actually Malice, and it actually was not a Rizal player. This was actually something that a deck that wasn't the main meta contender was actually doing. I'm not going to say that Malice isn't a very strong deck by anything at all, because it is. It's kind of showing itself as like the 3rd best deck in the room right now. But to see something, like this, and to see that, a player already was making a call of playing triple Chalice in a deck because Dreadnader is just so detrimental to their game plan was actually kind of fantastic. I actually hope that Chalice does kind of stick around out here for some of these rogue decks so that they can actually play the game. I'm not saying that Dreadnader is a totally unfair card, but man, it is stupid what it can actually do when it sticks around. So this plus in perm will probably be your dear old friend. And then Lancea. Now, this should not be a surprise to anybody out here. Lancea was being cited in troves out here because, hi Malice, how are you? Who would have guessed that having a card that literally turn skips your opponent actually would be your friend? All right, now, you've also had people that were citing Lancea for the mirror match, which I do like that. There was also talk about Chaos Hunter being a developing option out here. Well, Chaos Hunter, I think is cool. I just don't want to waste the resource out of my hand. Why would I want to discard a hand trap to special summon Chaos Hunter just when I can Lancea my opponent and kind of achieve the exact same result that I normally would be doing? Now, we actually get to go one step further out here with the whole Lancea thing. Because Thrust is existing in the format, we can actually combine this with Artifact Sanctum, and we can actually set a Sanctum from the deck so we can actually bring out the Lancea from our deck. Isn't that just BS? Isn't that great? Now, remember, the OCG gets to go 3 steps further with this. They actually get to have more cards for the Sanctum. They actually get to play the Sanctum in combination with Scythe to actually lock the opponent. It's actually a very major problem that the OCG is actually kind of going through right now. And I do hope that the OCG finds a way to fix this issue, because Sanctum, it just took a time where Lancea would become an issue that people would go, okay, well, if I want to see Lancea, then I'm going to want to play Scythe as well. And that's what you're seeing right now. Yeah, who would have guessed? As many turn skips as you can actually possibly pull off with this artifact package is going to be your pretty strong thing. I don't recommend playing triple copies of Sanctum. I think for the most part, using it in combination with Thrust as a 1/2 of is 100% going to be your option to go with this. But hey, if you don't have Thrust and you're like, hey, but I have triple Sanctum, okay, I guess. Whatever works for you. The Kashtira package. Oh boy, how many Fenrirs and how many Unicorns am I going to have to deal with out here? When does this stop being a splash package and, you know, just being a full course deck? Well, unfortunately, while we did have last format, you know, people actually playing the Kashtira deck, actually playing, you know, Rise Heart and all this, you still have this deck, or this engine developing itself out here. It's kind of this splash package. You know, it's what, like 1 Fenrir, 1 Unicorn, 1 Raceloth, 1 copy of Birth. That is the bare minimum, get your foot in the door package that you can ever actually hope to have. But we've actually gone further beyond that now. You've gotten, you know, more Fenrirs being involved. You got more Unicorns. You've got people out here that are looking at the current Malice deck going, okay, so I can play Kashtira cards in here because, okay, so I can put a Fenrir on the board. I can go ahead and resolve all my stuff or go down Unicorn, go into this sub-package line, set up and do whatever, and I can normal summon a Dormouse or whichever piece I have in my hand, and congratulations, I'm off to the races. All right, not only do you get that extra piece on the field, you know, if you establish the Unicorn, your opponent attempts to hand trap you, you can look at your opponent's extra deck, get all of this knowledge, and now your opponent's losing these options that might be one-ofs, especially in the Malice Mirror, where you can just banish face down one of your opponent's most key link monsters. That's a problem. And that's why the Kashtira package actually gets this huge chance to shine out here, because that whole 15 card extra deck, you're playing one-ofs. Nice Fiendsmith package, by the way. What if I took away your sequence? What if I took away, you know, your ability to access, you know, the whole Requiem itself, you know, that key link one? That's what you're getting with that Kashtira package, and that's why so many people are looking at that going, huh, you know, like this is the more viable option. Yes, it is. There is a reason why it looks very inviting to people to want to play. And then Book of Eclipse. This is, I think, the biggest no-brainer out here. And I saw this in my own case tournament and stuff I was going to. People were just looking at this going, holy crap, like, I can book your whole field. And then what your opponent doesn't realize, though, is like, if they don't clean up your field and you're getting 2 to 3 draws off of this, I'm drawing into those key hand traps and I'm going to stop you back. That's just like that cough there. That was me getting inconvenienced by the power of Book of Eclipse. All right, you have these cards, but if you give me, in the case I just got Book of Eclipse recently, I drew, I think it was 2 hand traps against my opponent, and it was like, okay, cool, so I can go ahead and Ash you and Valor you. Like, congratulations, you can't bring my board now, you know, I'm good to go. Like, and that's my problem with this. You have to have Book of Eclipse for going first to put that power on your opponent, or it's just going to be a really, really bad time for you. I think people just look at Book of Eclipse and go, okay, there's no drawback until it gets ashed. You know you can ash Book of Eclipse, right? Like, I don't know why this is a real conversation we have to have, but people don't seem to understand that it includes an effect to draw, so you can ash it. All right? Yeah, I'm just saying, all right? Read RTFC, read your cards, all right? It's not that hard. So those were your pretty major tech choices out of this weekend. I'm happy to report on seeing Mischief of the Nobs running around, but of course, some of these are really no-brainers with how the meta is developing. Like, you're just in this really strong, awkward situation that, you know, you got to stop Malice and you got to stop Ryzel. So leave a comment down below, tell me what you guys think, and I'll see your beautiful faces back in the day, guys. Peace. Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.